can't be serious, man.
Sure,
you
dear.
cannot be serious!
Hurricane has just swept through the podcast that is Sam, Mike and Don. The whirlwind that was and is Amanda Elliott, who is here as the chairman of the VRC, has departed. And has this just got us up and about?
You realise that all hurricanes are named after females?
No, they're not. No, they're not. That's not right, because that was considered sexist, so they changed that some years ago.
Not going back on this.
No, that is, Don, they're not called all after women these days, females.
What,
for
called Billy?
They are, for that very reason, that it was considered sexist. That's where we've headed in the world. That's been going on for 10 years. Now, we have here, this is Sam, Mike and Don, and this is the second part of this, or it's another part of it, because Amanda Elliott was fantastic. And Don, you've got to try and keep your cards a little close to your chest. You were enamoured with her.
Well, Michael was.
Michael is too, don't worry about that.
No, with Gerard Waitley. So we're both in the
I
same
don't
boat.
know.
He understands how I feel, and I understand how
Slightly
he feels.
different level of amour.
We should do
Gerard
rock,
Waitley and
paper,
Amanda.
scissors. You two should do rock, paper, scissors to see who's going to ring Amanda first and ask her out.
Michael, get in there.
And
Who's
this is the,
who's this?
this is the
Who's
voice.
this?
This is the
Who's
voice.
the voice?
This is the voice of Big Julie.
Big Julie.
This is Tony Jewell,
hello,
star
Sam.
premiership captain, coach, runs the club.
Yeah.
What did you think, Tone?
Who did he bring in with him first?
Well, hang on. We're just a minute, Don.
He's taken over Donald, hasn't he?
Well, you go ahead, Donald.
He's on a roll, isn't he?
He is.
Go on. Julie.
Yes.
I can't get used to calling you Julie. If you knew, just get your bearded Colonel Sanders mouth in closer to the microphone, please.
How's that? Yeah.
So what did you make of that? And we will now defer to the other man who affectionately was known as Super Boot, the ex-dog and lion, Bernie Quinlan.
And I think we all fell in love with Amanda, don't worry.
Yes.
We all fell in. She was fantastic.
Hey, and it's a while since you've said that about a woman, Bernard.
No,
Fill him in, Tony.
He. Well, I think there's a bit of action.
Oh, is there a recent development?
Just
Yes.
the odd twitches are
Yes.
occurring.
But
And,
Michael, getting back to racing parlance,
Yeah.
I'm a maiden compared to you in the top of the
Oh,
class.
maiden. Very good,
Maiden.
Ben.
The last woman that Donald entered was the Statue of Liberty when he was over in New York.
Now, I'd like to know why Bernie Quinlan has agreed to this interview. Michael's been
Get into
trying
the
to
microphone, Donald, please.
has been trying to get him onto open mic for how long?
Well, 7 or 8 years.
And he has fronted up and he has agreed to come on this show.
And Tony,
Why?
I
Tony
didn't
Jewell's
agree to
the
it.
20th person to say, yeah, I'll get him for you, and no one can deliver him.
Well, hang on. I didn't agree to it. I just came along to be a part of the audience to
Righto.
listen to Amanda.
Well, seeing as
I've been coerced into this.
Seeing as she's Johnny on the spot, start off, Mick. What? Just pretend this is open
Hello,
mic.
Bernie, how's your life going, son?
Well, much better seeing you, Michael.
What about you and Julie?
Yeah, we get on well. We do a little bit of work with Scotty, and it's
Who runs that trio?
Well, he thinks he's Brains. He calls himself Brains.
That's
and
Bernie. You can't
Bernie.
point on radio, Don. You've got to...
I'm just the worker.
Don,
I supply the tool.
What does Julie do?
Don?
Well,
Julie does as she's told.
we now know how Lee Matthews and Michael Tuck felt when they had to join Don.
Doesn't he speak to you
He
either?
doesn't speak. He yells at us. Well, that's
Only to
Don's
tell us to
form of
shut up.
conversation. He's yelling.
Yeah.
And but we've taken the approach that same as Lee Matthews and Michael Tuck is that we'll rove to the other ruckman. So we just go and do our own thing anyway. He just yells at us and we just wander off
But
and
he's
do
a different man now. Since Amanda's been here, he's smiling,
he?
he's friendly with people.
Don, yeah. She's
Donald,
softened him.
Donald,
She has
I've
softened
never
him.
seen you up and about ever,
no.
Donald. She has been the best tonic of all time since you had bird flu.
I think it was swine fever.
It's cured bird flu.
Yeah.
It was quite obvious, Don, how you were sort of...
Enamored.
He's an idiot in the organisation. But anyway, I've got him here
Anyway,
for you.
look, it's
Can you
working-
ask him a question?
Working,
Bernie?
Bernie.
working with these two, it's sort of like a mobile men's shed, Michael. It's got getting us right mentally, keeping us intact
And
with the world.
Now, I've got to ask him this question now.
Ask
don't
him
I?
as many as you like, Mick.
So yesterday, Bern, did Don give you the day off to go to a reunion of the Bulldogs boys out at the Whitten Oval?
Yesterday, no, we did it on the Sunday.
Oh, Sunday, was it?
Yeah, Sunday it was on, yeah.
On your day off.
Yeah.
I saw the photo from there. It was
It was good. It was a great day.
those sort of things?
Yeah, it was a great day, actually, because
Reunions are good, aren't they? Except for Don. He doesn't like them. But
I don't like them much. I don't like them much myself.
Really?
But I'm surprised Bernie was invited back.
Exactly.
he played 178 games
Well,
there.
Don, listen,
Well, he had that one year where he just laid
Don
down.
said I didn't try, but anyway.
Well, what happened, we've got to give you a little bit of background here. It was about 1977, 78, and it was David Parkin, and we used to get dossiers before each game, and one go we're playing Footscray at Princes Park, and it was a bit of a write-up about Quinlan. He was a very good player, represented Victoria at centre-half forward and centre-half back, and he was a very good player. This particular day, I thought how a player could go off in 6 months. He just was a shell of the player. I thought he's finished. He's just gone off in 6 months. What Tony and I talked about was that we think he played dead, because the following year he's at Fitzroy. He's kicked 100 goals and he, on a couple of occasions, gone on and won a Brownlow. So for 1 year, and that's why Tony wondered why he goes back to Footscray. How can he look those people in the eye when he played dead?
Well, that's a big call, Bern. That's
Well,
a big
look,
call by one of your so-called mates.
Well, he likes to stir the pot, Scotty, a lot of the time, and you don't take much notice of what he says.
Okay, one thing on those, one semi-serious question on
You've
that.
upset
Semi,
him.
yeah.
The popular view is that you were an infinitely better player at Fitzroy than you were at the Bulldogs when you played similar amounts of games. Is that unfair?
No, probably not unfair, because, early on in probably my career, there's a lot of other things happening in your life, Michael, and maybe football was not my main priority.
What? Would it have anything to do with the fact that they were better players at football?
No, not that. Comes with age, I think, Sam, and maturity and training and
Socially
But,
and domestically?
Bernie, I mentioned you represented. Now, how many
We heard what you
players
said.
have represented Victoria at centre half back and centre half forward when you were playing at Footscray? None. No one's done it, and you did it. So you were a very good player.
Team
At
balance.
Probably the consistency was a bit of a problem,
Yeah.
Scotty. That was the main problem. But, I started at 17 years of age. And you look at kids now, 17 years of age, coming in, playing against Wes Lofts and all these. I came in as a full forward. Full
He's a
forward.
Tiger supporter too, weren't you?
Yeah, I was a Tiger supporter.
My first game
Tiger
against
supporter.
Paddy
When
Gurnane.
Zoni-
whose arms were bigger than my torso.
Yeah, Paddy. I like Paddy because I
Holy
follow
shit.
the Tigers. So,
So, Bernie, you said you had a lot of distractions.
well, look, Sam, you meet women and you get married and things.
Bernie, that was my question. I'm just.
Things come into your life and you're doing a lot of different things. And
So you met so many women back in those days that you're no longer interested.
I
Well,
think
I'm an old-
there's a spark arriving.
well,
I can see he's coming good.
So you.
if I could go along with you and Amanda to the.
Yeah.
To
We'll
the
sit at the table.
We'll sit at the table.
We'll have a snapper and an odd prawn down the end while he's got his head in the guts of a groper down there. Now, Bernie.
Yes, sir.
So you were just discovering women when
That's
you're
right.
at Footscray,
And look-
and that the football was because
Secondary.
you were a naturally
Secondary.
great footballer, which you were, mate. You were. You are a legend. Because you were a naturally great footballer, you got by on the fact that you didn't have to concentrate too much. You were interested in other things.
The fairest sex got
I
to
was
me.
just thinking about, we're talking about, they did a tribute to Dale Morris at Footscray on Sunday and the hardships and what he went through to become an AFL player. And on the other hand, Footscray chased me, to the nth degree to get me to play at Footscray. And when I was 17, they offered me 6 senior games if I came down immediately without having to earn them. So they offered me 6 senior games. Come down, we'll give you 6 senior games no matter what.
So straight out of Terrelgan into the AFL.
Straight out of Terrelgan, yeah.
Wow.
Just like that.
Did
As a 17-year-old, and you're young and you're skinny and you don't know much about anything really. I didn't know where Footscray was, let alone
You knew where the girls were though.
let alone how to get to the ground. So that's how.
Now,
That's
listen,
where you start off.
we've put a bit of shit on you this morning, but I watched some YouTube clips of a night at home, and one that came up of you and you two guys, Mike, well, the three of us. I have never seen a guy before or since. There might have been before because I can't remember. I definitely haven't seen it since. Now, I watched it twice on two different occasions.
Yes, twice, that'd be. Yep, go ahead.
On two different occasions.
Twice.
From the square at the Junction Oval.
Yes.
He has put through a drop punt.
Oh, hang
and the
on.
next time, a torpedo. Is that right, Bernie?
I don't know what you were looking at.
Well, I was watching. I told you, YouTube, you idiot. Now, can you
Fantastic.
tell me anybody that could kick the ball as far and as consistently? You know, Ferring got onto one at St Kilda, which went 100. We all
Had his foot in the circle.
yes, but that was a fluke. You'd never kick that.
Of course it was.
But this guy over here did it consistently.
There's only one I could compare him to, or compare this man to Bernie, and that was Doug Wade. Who was
not as far.
Doug Wade was a magnificent
Beautiful torpedo kick, wasn't he?
torpedo, and
Torpedo.
you I'm not.
Early days, I was a torpedo man.
Yep, you were. I remember, mate.
Yeah.
I played against you.
Now, Sammy, we've eulogised this man enough.
No, I'm
I
going
don't
to.
like.
I
I don't like Don saying nice things about me.
Tony, Bernie won a Brownlow, which we all know.
Yes, mate.
The man sitting next to you, the Hawthorne legend and 300 game player.
Yes.
How did he go in the Brownlow?
I think, well, I
his
think
career.
I have voted him.
And how many did you get?
4.
I thought you were a gun, Don.
Sam, did you vote well in the Brownlow by chance? Did you?
I polled very,
The
very
runners
well.
up, or were you at one stage? Was he?
Yeah. 1975 was my job. I got suspended in the last, with 6 weeks to go. I got suspended, but I came third in it. But they gave no votes after. When you were
When
suspended,
you're suspended, yeah.
they just didn't give you any votes.
You came third
I think
overall
so.
in
I
70.
think I-
You think so? You're not sure where you finished in the
no,
Brownlow?
What round were you suspended?
I was 6 rounds to go.
6
so
rounds
you
ago.
didn't receive any more votes?
None. And I would have won it otherwise. Now, Bernie.
Make your 3 votes look
Bernie,
stupid.
Could you just, did anyone from Geelong ever try and recruit you to go down to play for the Cats? I know the answer to this, so be careful.
Yes.
Who were
the
those
answer is
people?
yes. Oh, who was it? I can't remember, Sam, exactly who it was.
Well, I'll tell you who it was. It was me and John Holt.
Okay.
We came down and we spoke to you and your wife of the time, Cheryl.
Very good.
No,
Sam.
Well, you'd have to do all the talking with Cheryl. He would have just sat there. She was his manager.
Oh, keep
Bernie.
out of it. We're not talking to you.
Bernie, surely you remember that.
Yeah, I do, Sam. I couldn't remember who the other
John
person
Holt was the president, and this was in 1970.
It was after I'd been at Fitzroy,
Yes,
so
and
it might have been about after. No, I started at 80 or somewhere around
Yes,
there.
and no, I was. Yes, it was, and
Sent a
I had
girl down
nothing
there,
to
would've
do
got
with
him.
this. But they offered, whether you knew this or not, because they did actually speak to Cheryl. You sat there while Cheryl did the bidding.
Is that
that's
right?
That's right. Don't never have a dog and bark yourself. I don't mean that about Cheryl. I didn't mean. No, I don't
think
mean
you're
she
right.
was a dog. I meant that's a. I did that. No, that is a saying. Never have a dog. and
Yes,
bark.
yes.
If you got a manager and they offered you Geelong, I know because I was part of the conversation. They offered him a fortune to come down to Geelong, and then I think they went on to Gary Sidebottom after that. After you wouldn't come.
Well,
Arthur Wilson mortgaged his house to get Bernie to Fitzroy.
Okay, well, we mortgaged the whole town, Geelong, to get him to
Could
come.
I ask Tony
Now,
a
before you
question?
leave, the
no, I was
same
happy
issue.
with my lifestyle then, Sam, because I had a bit of a property, a few
Yes.
acres down at Baxter.
Yes.
And having to move to
That's correct.
where it was in Geelong or
But
outside
everything
in,
has a price.
in a
Bernie,
suburb
but
outside
not for
Geelong
you, it
wasn't
didn't.
really what I wanted to do.
Now,
that's
TJ, I'll just show you the folly of administrations. Talking about where Bernie may have gone, correct me if I'm wrong, Bern, you were happy and willing to go to Collingwood,
Well, that's how it all started.
and they balked at $5,000. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know what the figure was, Michael. I can't remember.
What do you mean
They
they
would have won two
balked at
premierships. If Bernie had played, they would have won 2 flags.
Initially, I would have loved to have played with the Tigers because I was a mad Richmond supporter. But zoning came in around about the time I was ready to start playing VFL football. I was at the time, but I'd been down to the Vaucluse Hotel a couple of times with Graham Richmond and
Looking for women.
well, I'm not sure, but anyway. But
What do you mean $5,000 they missed out? What do you mean, Michael?
My understanding was that the GM of the time was told we can get Quinlan for this amount of money, and it was that was 5,000 more than what they were prepared to pay, and they said no.
well, what happened also was Footscray wouldn't clear me to Collingwood
Okay,
because they thought, don't let him go to a superior club.
right.
So
So you could have gone to Geelong, but
so
not
I
to
stood out for half a season in 1977, 78.
Is that was in an attempt to get to Collingwood?
Was an attempt to get it to
Wow.
Collingwood.
Tony, the three of us.
Come on television and talk to me about this stuff.
Well, he's talking to you now about it.
Well, I like talking to other people, not only you.
Now, Tony, the three of us work together. Now, Bernie's a Brownlow medalist. Are there any traits that come out when when the three of us are working together?
Well,
Good microphone technique, Don. That's good. You haven't spoken into it once.
can't
but you've
speak as it stuffs
nearly
in my
stuck
throat.
it down his esophagus there. Go ahead, Julie.
well, he's just a typical Brownlow medalist, isn't he? He's not a team player. He just wanders off and does his own thing, and while we have to sort of mop up behind him. And
I come up with a suggestion. All I hear from Don is, shut up.
Yeah.
That's all I get from him.
You ever go down the local Bunnings or the hardware store with
I
the
go with Don. We go down to the
Hadn't
pump.
finished the question,
Oh,
Bernie,
sorry,
please.
sorry, Sam.
With the medal just outside the jumper, just hoping to get a discount. And say, if you want a Brownlow, he said, yes, and we want this cheap, so give us a discount.
No, I haven't tried that, but we might try that, Don.
You
What
still
do you
got
reckon?
it. You haven't sold it.
No, but I might do that.
Might you?
I might sell all my memorabilia. What's the use of hanging on to it?
Oh, yeah, what's the point of that? No, the kid. You got any kids?
I've got a daughter, yeah.
Well, she
a
might-
couple of grandsons.
Well, don't worry about the family, no.
No.
Mind
like as
you,
a
I'd like to
grandparent?
get on to...
What do you like as a grandfather?
Fantastic.
Oh, you leave a lot to be desired. You should be down there more often.
Oh, well, I don't want to live with their
He's a
life.
very
I'm not-
selfish man, Michael, if you really want to know. He lives by himself.
Why didn't you say this to Amanda? You're very meek
Yes, because he's not trying to pick you up.
Speaking of people and clubs who want to give players accolades, Don, can I dip a toe in the water about anything that we could speak about? Can I dip a toe in the water about people being offered accolades?
We'll go all the way now.
No, I'm not. Only if Don says I can.
Well, he told us this morning, Sam, about this as well.
no, but he mightn't want it made public.
Well, I think we should.
Well, you go ahead.
Well, he's balking at the idea of becoming made a legend of the Hawthorne
Oh,
Football Club. Is that
you're
what
not
we're talking
serious?
about?
Really?
Yeah, because
Don't seem surprised.
He wants to do it. Hey, he wants to do it in his own terms. He doesn't want to do it on Hawthorne's offer to come to the annual general meeting and do it. He wants to do it at the past players' luncheon.
I was going to be a bit more subtle in this. You've gone right on with it, Bernie.
Well, why muck
done.
around, Sam? No
Well,
use mucking around with it.
Donald, can I go on with this conversation? Donald came to me because I'm his guru. He advisor. And he
You're
said,
a control freak. You control. Anyway, go on.
and he said, what do you think? He said, they've offered me to be a legend, not a Hall of Fame, just a legend of the club. There's only a handful of them. And I said, surely you haven't knocked that back, Dot. He said, well, I won't do his voice. I will do his voice. He said, well, I don't know. He said, this is not a I said, Don, for God's sake, man, you mightn't have got on with a lot of people at the club like all of us.
Or
have never-
anyone. Yep.
In the
like
past.
all of us have never got on with plenty of people from the club. But the club is bigger than the individuals. You must accept their very kind offer to make you a legend. Well, I don't know. And you've got offside with the president, and there seems to be a rift between you two. Surely calmer minds will prevail, and you will accept. I've actually rang them.
This is
I
not a
said,
toe in the water, you know.
this has got nothing to do with me, I said, but I would ask Donald Scott again if he'd like to be a legend, he would grasp it with both hands, because personalities aside, it is a huge honour, Donald, and they are going to go on with it. And you will become a legend of that club, and rightly so. It wouldn't be there if it hadn't been for you.
with your like
Well spoken, Sam. That's exactly right. And he said rift with people in the past. That's in the past.
So we all have.
We all have, exactly. Get on with it.
So they will be recontacting you. I've spoken to several people.
You haven't, because I declined yesterday.
Again.
Tony, what advice would you have for it?
Hang on, just Mick, please. You declined again after they recontacted you. No, I'm going to get annoyed in a minute, Donald. Did you?
No, they haven't. I
You
told
said you
them I
did.
wanted. I told Justin Reeves I want a few days to consider this.
What for?
Because
'Cause you're too proud.
a recommendation was made by the subcommittee to the general committee, and that
Yes.
the recommendation from the subcommittee was overruled by the board, and the way it was put to me
If I have
was
to make another phone
intimidating by Jeff Kennett, and it was either take it or leave it. Well, don't tell me
Put that into
Jeffrey.
English, Don, will you?
He said either be at that. It was going to be, the presentation was going to be made at the Life Members Dinner.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was the recommendation to the General Committee.
And Jeff?
And that was overruled by the board.
The General Committee said they didn't want you as a legend.
No, they wanted me as a legend, but the presentation would not be made at the Life Members Dinner. It was going to be made at the annual general meeting.
And who
Which
gives
is
that
more
stuff?
appropriate.
Yeah, that's
No,
right.
but the
Exactly.
recommendation was at the Life Members Dinner.
No,
If
Bob,
we
that
could
was
cut
from
to
you.
the-
That was from
That
you.
was from the subcommittee.
If we could
subcommittee?
cut to the chase, Donald. This has become a personal battle of egos between you and Jeff Kennett. Jeff Kennett, I have some sympathy for him in this regard, that when you didn't accept the offer to be made a legend, Jeff said, probably thought, well, bugger me, if he won't accept that thing that we've offered him, tell him to get nicked. And he would not be doing that as a personal thing, just as a slight against the club. And Donald, you're so proud and you're so dogmatic and pig-headed, you should say, I'll be delighted to accept your very kind offer of being a legend. I'll accept it at whatever forum you like to nominate, and I'll be there.
It's like any marriage. There are a lot of little things that go along over the
Experts here on
years.
that.
Lots of good advice here.
And a lot of little things that have gone on over the years, and this is another one of those
Over the years.
little things.
Over the-
Over the
Move on,
years.
Donald.
Going back 40
It's a bit
years.
like
I'd hate to be a
trying
horse.
to
If
spice
you had a
your
horse like you, that wouldn't move, would it? It would just stand there and you dig your heels in and whip it.
It'd go to the knackers and have its throat cut.
Sammy, go to the knackers. I'm not sure you meant to say that.
Hey,
It's a bit
TJ.
That's
so
what
like
you call the
bloke said
killers,
to-
the doggers,
like
the
the
knackers.
bloke said, if you're trying to spice your sex life home, when you get home, turn your missus over. There's a whole new world on the other side. And he said, what? And he said, what? And risk getting her pregnant.
That's no good.
Well, now, Tony.
Anyway, getting back
Yeah,
to serious stuff,
well,
Mick.
Yes,
Well,
Michael.
he's ran that by Tony and I in the car on the way up.
Yeah.
And we've all given him the same advice as what Sam's given him.
And we both did it
And
last
so,
week.
I
But
mean,
you never played with emotion.
oh, didn't I?
No.
Oh,
you,
right.
you were a mercenary. You just went off and did your own
Enough
thing.
about you.
And your point.
Tony.
Yes,
Tony,
Michael.
You're put yourself in the position. You're a coach. You're his coach, and this issue comes up.
heaven
What's your
help.
advice to him?
Heaven help. You couldn't coach him.
You couldn't coach
He's
him.
uncoachable, Don. But I think the chook flu or something that he's had's affected him. I can't make head and a tail of what he was just talking about.
He's got Ebola.
He's got a I don't know.
It's also affected his eyesight because see what he's pulled out of the cupboard today to wear
yeah.
here.
Well, Amanda thought it was quite fetching.
Yeah, well, she did too.
Don, I can see you sitting on top of a pony out at Flemington with all that crap on, leading all the horses in on the parade. And you said, and she was nicely attired too. You just put her in the same equine field as all the horses.
Well, when he does his show jumping, he's the only one in red. Everyone else is in
Yeah.
black.
Civvies.
This idiot ought to know too. You were at that show, and he's out in the middle. You know, there is decorum at a show jumping, and there's custom and whatever else.
Do you know what I was doing in the
Oh,
middle of
you were out in the middle of the
Doing
thing,
what?
taking film.
That's
Here
right,
am I
filming
trying.
of
I
you.
could have killed myself, and you idiot, you're there in the middle of the course.
I was filming you. You said,
No,
get out and
everybody
take a
else was sitting around the arena, but you.
Because you said, get some footage of me jumping.
We were down there.
So
Sam.
I went out.
Righto, children.
Hey, we were down there watching him show jump there one day, and they made the announcement the next one to do the run through or whatever it's called was Don Scott. So they called all the ambulance attendants back
They did
to the ambulance.
They did, and he didn't disappoint them. He
Fell off.
Hey, Tony.
Yes, mate.
A serious Richmond question.
Yes.
My view now is that Dustin Martin is in the debate about an all-time great at Tigerland.
Yep.
Hart, Bartlett, Burke,
Yep.
that ilk.
Yep.
Is it premature or not?
I don't think so. I think he's right up there, personally. I mean, he's especially the two grand finals where he's been probably best on the ground. I thought, well, he won the Norman Smith medal, and I know he's right up there, Dustin. And especially now they've changed their style of game again. Like when he was getting the ball across half back and chipping it backwards and forwards, I got my nose out of joint a bit, but he's certainly earned his stripes now, and especially when he goes forward. He's a damaging player, but he's right up there with all those greats.
You had a great team that you coached to the flag in 80.
Yep.
Where does this group sit with the great Richmond teams of the 70s?
Well, we've always had good midfields and good forward lines, and if you're psychopathic, you got the game down back. You know, you weren't. We didn't put much.
Killer.
That's right, on the back line. And I think this back line, to watch them to sit up in the stands and watch how they work and how they operate, and the skill of the players down back. This is certainly the most complete Richmond side I've seen in my time.
Is it really?
Hey, Tony,
Is it-
you said you thought they needed to win another couple to be right up there. Another couple of flags.
Well, that'd certainly help. But,
I suppose it would. Yeah.
But you also did,
No, they're not up there now.
but you just said
well, they could have won the last three, couldn't they?
yeah,
Exactly.
they should have won 3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think they can win that, and they can probably improve this side by 6 better players. The Sydney stack, the Pickett, who only one game, the Baker didn't play because of the shoulder. Graham.
Yep. Rance.
Rance. Yeah, so there's 6 players can improve that side.
No,
So
they
it's
didn't, no.
a frightening thought.
Now, Bernie, are you bemused by the fact that the back 5 pages of the Herald Sun today are on AFL football? And I see Brendan Goddard has made huge headlines by saying Collingwood has the best centre line. What in the hell are we...
I don't think he did say that.
Best centre... Yes,
I
didn't
think
he?
my understanding was he said it's no longer the best midfield in the
Oh,
competition.
did he?
I
Well,
think.
that's how much notice I took of it, because if I'm taking notice of AFL in November,
Exactly.
When the
last
country's burning
6
down, yeah.
pages,
Exactly,
But
Sam.
mind you, in fairness to the Herald Sun, they reflect what the readers want to see.
You know that trade stuff, Sammy, is the biggest generator
I know,
of social media
it's
traffic.
extraordinary.
Exactly, Sam. Look, you just tune out to all that rubbish at this time of the year, what the predictions are going to be.
Yeah.
I
So-
mean, you find out what the predictions are and how close they are to...
So here's a question from left field for you all. George Pell is coming up. His case is now going to be adjudicated by the High Court of Australia, the Supreme Court, the High Court in
yeah.
Canberra.
High
is it?
Court, yep.
Yeah, High Court.
What do you think will happen to George Pell?
Well, I hope his appeal goes through.
You hope he wins it.
I'm happy to have him go again to court and have the appeal tried again.
Why?
Are you upheld or
Well, because of the
exonerated?
vote... No, to let his appeal go through and have it heard.
Yes, no, they're hearing it.
Yeah,
They're going
but
to
have they
finally
decided?
they're going to finally decide next week, I think.
That's right.
Whether he is to be found guilty or discharged from that specific charge. What do you think will happen? Not what you think should happen on that case.
I thought the
what
last
do you think?
decision they came to was 2-1 against.
Correct.
So there must be a fair bit of doubt in someone's mind about what happened
Of
in
course.
court previously.
There'd be doubt in everyone's mind if you're
There's
fair
doubt in
dinkum.
everybody's mind because if you look at the circumstances of where the
ridiculous.
offence supposedly took place, there'd have to be a lot of doubt in
So
people's
you
minds.
would uphold his appeal
I would
and
uphold-
release him.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, I would, Michael. Yes,
Okay.
I would.
Okay, and you would, Sammy.
Yes.
Anthony.
On that particular charge.
Julie. Sorry.
Yeah,
I forgot you.
I'm completely agree
Off.
with that.
Pal off. And
Pal off,
Scotty.
yeah.
Yeah, the only reason you're agreeing are Pal off because he played at Richmond.
Exactly right.
No, Gil.
George Pell
he play
played
at
at
Richmond?
Richmond.
Yeah, he played in the thirds, Richmond thirds, and Jack Dyer had a chisel in stone.
I don't say
I
it.
can't repeat
You
that,
can't
but
say it.
Oh, really? You go halfway through and then you pull out.
well, Jack just said that there'd be no.
Anyway, we
know where you're going.
I can't remember. What did Jack say?
don't worry about that, Michael.
He had the showers to himself.
Yeah.
So Nick,
No, I
you-
don't think he'll get off. Because when it goes to the High Court, I'm not saying whether he should or shouldn't. I'm saying,
I'm asking you whether he should or shouldn't.
well, I didn't think he would go down's not the right expression, but I didn't think that he would be found guilty. Why are you looking at me like that, Jack? but I don't think.
I thought I said
I don't
Jack.
think his appeal will be. I don't think he'll win the appeal because when you go to the High Court, there's got to be seen to be a clear breach of natural justice. Now, I'm not sure he'll be able to prove that.
no, fair enough.
I don't think so either. I think it'll
You
be.
just said you thought
I
it.
think. No, I did not. You didn't ask me. No, I don't think
you
he'd be.
Don
I don't
Scott?
think he'd be successful. But I'd like to know why Jack turned a nose up when we started talking about those things.
Well,
Okay, kids.
No, hang on, Mick, please. And now
These places have got to go to Mount Macedon.
No, well, they're in.
Yeah, we're right.
This is.
We're right, are we?
We Australia have won 11 medals at the Para Games in Dubai. The Para, not Olympics, but Para Games. And
Paralympics.
one of our para athletes has won a world record for the 100 metres. There's only one person in Australia wouldn't agree with the fact that that's been a great achievement, and that'd be Caroline Wilson, who said para sport is hardly sport. They only go to watch people fall over and muck up.
No, that's a
No,
cheap
but-
shot.
Is that a cheap shot?
Yeah.
So what did she say?
Well, no, but it doesn't matter. She's not here.
I'm just telling you what she said.
Argue the issue, not the individual.
Well, so do you? But that was my question: is do you think para sport is a sport?
Yes, of course it is. If you're a
Yes, of course.
in
it
my
is.
view,
Yes,
of course it is.
in everyone's view, except hers.
Now, you wanted changing the subject. You wanted.
No, it's because
you
they-
were critical of these people out protesting about climate change. You said, "What have they come up with?" I'll give you one where we could change the whole climate situation, and that is by reducing the population and limiting.
Have a cull.
Well, not a cull, but I would have done what they did in India and China, and limit the number of children that are able to come into this
immigration.
Go
world.
around with it.
Immigration's got nothing to do with this. It's a
worked in-
worldwide thing, and that will solve climate change. So you
Immigration
wanted
got
a
nothing to do
solution,
with
I've given it to you.
It's worked in India, hasn't it?
It has,
Yeah.
and it would
5
work
billion
here in
people.
Australia
Yeah.
too. Michael, the
It
priest,
has.
would not come around and tap you on the shoulder and say, "We need 4, 1 or 2."
4, 1 or 2.
Well, you have got 4.
I've got 4.
And he tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Go forth, Michael, and have 4." Now it'll only be 1 or 2 from now on. Under my
I think it's
proposition.
past me, Donald.
I
Actually,
said the most populous city in the world is, I think they said Mumbai. It's got 34 million people in it. City.
Don's going to go and shoot him.
Yeah,
He's gonna
cull them.
Starve them to death.
We're going to breathe in.
Surely immigration.
reproduce.
How do you?
Surely, you what?
I wouldn't allow them to reproduce.
Would you?
How do you stop that?
Well, they
Castrate them.
did.
We've had China had that, didn't they?
Exactly, that they were rewarded. They were rewarded for having, one child, and I think there was a penalty if you had more than.
What was the penalty?
Well, we can advocate that because we're right. We got 3 each, so it doesn't worry us.
Johnny,
I've
anymore.
got 2. You've got 3, and a few others.
3 and a few others.
Well, that's what you don't know about the others.
Hey, the boys,
Would know
before-
by now, Donald.
on an issue that we can have an informed view about. You know my channel, the ABC, right? I'm a
Glad you brought that up.
You know that the ABC won't be at the Olympics in 2020 for the first time since 1952.
Do you
Was
know
it a
why?
budget?
Well, it's
Budget.
budgetary, correct?
Do you know what they're focusing on? This came out. This is what they're going to focus on their programming. Now, just this is what they said. The 3 things they're going to focus on are Indigenous issues, climate change and clerical abuse. They are the three platforms that the ABC, the People's Station and the People's Broadcasting Network are going to concentrate on for next year.
So it was the ABC that pulled out? It's their choice, is it?
That they said that is what they're going to focus on: Indigenous issues, climate change and clerical abuse.
And is that because...
That's our station.
Is that because...
How mainstreams that stuff?
Their funding's been cut or not?
That's from a decision. I hope that's not from Ida Buttros's point of view.
Geez, I would hope not too.
Well, that's what they said. That's
I
that's
thought
one
it
of
was
the
just they
things I was
couldn't
gonna
afford
bring
it.
up.
But really, it's going to be covered by a commercial network. So why is
It's not the
AB?
same thing. The ABC
It's only
serves the country.
Yeah, I understand
It's
that,
radio,
Michael, but
isn't
it will
It's
be
radio, ABC radio.
No,
Pulled
Mick,
out.
I'm with you.
Yes.
The ABC or someone that doesn't have an inane amount of ads at
Correct.
every opportunity. I know you got to pay for it, but to have everything sponsored and come up and in between, you never watch anything else other than ads and actually the event itself.
And only the major sports.
Yep.
Yeah, ABC covers the lot, or traditionally it has.
Well, those gambling ads are a disgrace. I mean, they're on every five seconds.
You asked Don about it. Jared Wakely admitted last week
They were
that
a
he had said
disgrace.
to SEN he didn't want gambling ads on his program. Don stood and applauded.
Well, that's great. I'm very pleased to hear that as well, because they're just one after the other.
So Hall and Gallen are fighting. Barry Hall.
Yeah.
Barry?
And Paul Gallen.
Paul Gallen, thank you. I couldn't think of Paul's name. They're fighting on Friday. I've been asked to go by Danny Green. A whole lot of people have been asked to go. Do you think that's a good... Why would we be going to that? It's a good thing, I suppose, isn't it? Does it raise money? Do you think Barry Hall would beat Paul Gallen?
It's a bit, I think one of the modern changes that I do accept is I'm not sure you should have two blokes in there bashing the shit out of each other.
So
And the young bloke who died the other day, it's just...
So are you a devotee of the UFC, which they
No,
pack out?
I would ban the UFC.
I
would
said
ban
that to
it.
Dermot Brereton. He said it is far safer than boxing, because if you're about to be choked to death, you can actually tap the table and say, I give in. But in boxing, you don't give in.
Well, I'm
I'd
not in
agree
favour
with
of
you.
either.
In this day and age when we're trying to be passive and not king hit people after you've been drinking in pubs, to have that the UFC in the back of your mind and you think that's par for the course.
And the
is
concussion
extraordinary.
debate. We're going to turn football on its head with the concussion debate, and we've got two people allowed to stand there and smash each other in the head.
Now
I can't
Well,
watch
it's,
it. I can't watch it myself. I mean,
No,
I like boxing, but the
well, it's all about the
bare
dollar
knuckle
again,
thing
Michael,
that's,
isn't it?
Well, it's something amiss, but I think...
It's all about the dollar again, what they can make out of it.
Yeah.
Now, and maybe finally, but not necessarily.
Who's going to win?
I don't care.
Who knows?
Oh, okay.
I'd have no idea.
I'd
If
say
Barry
Paul
Hall
Gallen by a street.
Would you? I would reckon if Barry Hall gets his gander up, he might go rat-a-tat-tat, wouldn't he?
Gander or dander?
Gander, dander. Well, we will check that in a minute.
Fair
As we do every week.
So that I'm told, this is only because I read it, there's been a litany of fines for anti-doping breaches in the AFL. There's been plenty of them, but they're not broadcast or they're not highlighted. What does that tell you? And also, I see WADA, the World Anti-Doping Body Authority, have said that party drugs are no longer considered to be performance enhancing, and they just pay lip service to suspending people for them. What do you make of all that if you're an Essendon player?
So what, if you get on speed before the game,
That's just what.
no,
there's a small window where you're not allowed to take party drugs, but it's not a very. It's just a passive penalty for taking them. It's not considered serious.
You would
I don't know
admit
what.
well, society's gone mad.
Rioli will be nice and happy with that. He's looking at how many years
Up
for
to 4?
marijuana.
Yes, that's right. So they're saying marijuana. It's not
No.
really a great problem. All
Hey,
that.
Sammy, the thing with the AFL,
Yes.
I'm not sure you're quite right about that. I think they were fined because they hadn't provided the authority with the whereabouts of their players. It wasn't to do with what they're taking.
Was that the
No,
Carlton
no,
players,
no,
Michael?
no.
Was that the Carlton players
Yeah,
fined
there were
recently?
yes.
No,
Yeah.
Beck, that may well be the case. And my question is, why wouldn't you provide that information if you were all clear?
Well, it's the club that didn't. So
Yeah,
it's
why wouldn't you?
Well, because that was an oversight, I think.
I see. Well,
What do
they
you
said there's
guys
been-
think about the 3-strike policy that's in at the AFL?
Laughable.
It is laughable.
Well, it's
One strike and you're out,
No,
as far
not
as I'm
necessarily,
concerned.
Donald.
Yes, John.
It's the
Well,
secrecy
that's
of it
fair
all
enough.
too. The secrecy
that's
that the
not-
clubs aren't informed of the
No.
results.
You're saying you're talking about recreational drugs.
I'm talking about any
no,
drug
he's-
that
no,
comes
no,
under
no, no,
that
they're-
is
they're talking about-
prohibited.
No, if you take anabolic steroids, you don't get 3 strikes. You're out.
Oh, I think,
No, this
John.
is recreational drugs, surely. We're talking about cocaine and ice.
But you know the cocaine is regarded as being performance enhancing.
How many times have we had this conversation? I had that member with another person that used to do this with us, the Beast, and and then the question is, how do you know it's performance enhancing if you haven't taken it yourself? Which is a completely irrelevant question. I think if you take anabolic steroids or beta, whatever it's called, Donald, you don't get 3 strikes with that, mate. You're out. That's what.
It's only the social
I
drug.
think that's
I
right.
think the recreational drugs you get 3 strikes, and there's been a legion of players that have had 3 strikes, but it's never acted on by the AFL because they don't want to besmirch their sport.
Can I ask you about another? Sorry,
Please.
but I don't know where we're going to take this. But what about the other sport? What about tennis? Did anyone watch the tennis on Sunday?
Yes. How
It was
bad
brilliant.
was
It was
Ash
an
Barty?
engrossing day sport. But what is Sam Stosur still doing representing Australia? And Barty had a bad day.
Wow, did she have a
The
bad
world's
day?
best player had a bad day.
What an excellent effort by the other Australian. But could I ask you,
No, hang
because
on, answer his question.
why is Australia recruiting players from, they're European players, aren't they? Russians?
Eastern Bloc.
Eastern Bloc.
What do you mean?
Well, Gavrilova.
Yeah, well, she lives here. She's an
I
Australian
understand, but she migrated here?
Yeah, she
the girl,
migrated
I cannot pronounce the girl's name who played on Sunday.
yeah.
Isla, whatever.
Tomlanovic
or something?
Yes.
Okay, now she's come across. There's two other sisters that are over here that play doubles.
They haven't been recruited here,
No.
especially to.
They've come
play
here.
league.
Why are they coming to
It's a
Australia?
bit
Why?
sus-
Why are they coming to Australia? We've got 5 million people who have come to Australia.
No, but Mick, it's a bit suspect that you have the best tennis players in the world that suddenly come here and we claim them as Aussies
Yeah.
and they win medals for us. and
That's
we
a separate
say,
issue, though.
Well, it is probably. It's a joke.
In fact, the Demonor, the Aussie demon, he's lived in Australia for about 10 minutes. He lives in Spain.
But
that's-
we've had a couple of men.
Yeah, but he
who,
grew up in Australia,
Well,
didn't he?
Not for long. He wasn't born in Australia, I don't think.
Well, what about
sure.
the Greek
I don't know.
Doesn't live
Australian?
here.
What about
his
the Greek
background.
Australian and the
Philippoussis?
no, with the 2 current players that have come from other stock. They're not.
Nick Kyrgios.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
but they're Australian.
but
Yeah.
well, these might have been
Bernard,
born here
Tommy.
too. Their parents. Who said the others
What
weren't
about Al
born here?
Grasby over there?
No,
Got Al's tie on.
you're talking about the tennis players that came from the Eastern Bloc. They've just come here as immigrants or refugees or whatever.
Well, they might have been born here though, Don.
No, they weren't born here. They've just
Weren't
come
they?
here.
No.
That's what you're saying.
Sure,
Oh,
are you
you
sure about
Googled it.
that?
Not at all.
No.
I have no idea. So anyhow, finally, just your cyclists are, very welcome on the roads, taking over. I now see the law is, or this is suggested law, that you must give a meter's space to any cyclist and you can't go past a cyclist at over 60 kilometres an hour. They are the suggested laws to be brought in. Are we trying to get motorists off the road altogether?
I think it's a good idea, the meter.
Do you?
I do, because I did a bit of bike riding
Okay, Bernie.
in
when
the
they
latter
take
part
o-
of my career to stay off my Achilles.
So when they take over one lane of a 2-lane highway like Beach Road down in...
It's probably safer, Stan, because they have to go out into the outside lane. So
They
the
take
motorists,
one lane and
yeah, I
if
know what
you're
you're saying.
going past and there's not a meter, you've got to almost go into the oncoming traffic to give them a meter.
No, they're only allowed to ride 2 abreast.
Oh, well, good
Well,
on
that's
you with all
that's
that.
the law. 2 abreast.
Have you
No
ever
more
seen
than
the
2.
peloton come round
Yeah,
the,
that's why I used to do it. I used to do it with
Beach Road?
the Hell Ride. We started off.
1,000 of them.
That's right. We started off that Hell Ride, and we didn't go by the law all the time. We didn't do it legally.
So
but
when,
I'm talking
when
about just
one
normal
gets
bike
knocked off
riders.
their
Pardon?
bike, when one gets knocked off their bike by a motorist who is just minding his own business, but they are not obeying the law, all hell breaks loose.
Look, we're talking about all things being equal here.
Yes,
So if they're doing the right thing, staying 2 abreast, which they're allowed to do,
but they don't.
They don't. Well,
No, they don't.
they're breaking the law by going more than 2 abreast for a start.
Yes, I know.
Just
But-
excuse
but
me,
I'm just
gentlemen.
saying-
You're not very interested, Michael, in the conversation.
Yeah.
You're on your phone.
No, I was checking about
what?
demonor.
I'm just saying, Sam,
Yeah.
be quiet, Don. I'm just saying it's
Be quiet,
safer.
Don.
It's safer for them to go ride 2 abreast, where the motorist goes out into the outside lane, rather than trying to get by with traffic on the outside, trying to get by
Yes.
on the inside lane.
You ever been to Bill Ferg's? I was out. That's Amanda.
Well, look, I'm saying all things being equal and-
that Amanda Ellis just texted Mick about maybe.
About the-
I was out on my boat. You know, Bill.
About the groper.
Taking up your
I
office,
was
Michael.
out. I've got a small boat, and I was out in it the other day, and I thought what I thought was a seal, and it was a flipper. And Bill Ferg he catches his own fish that we eat at the lobster cave. He was actually spearing snapper down
Don
there.
said his meal the other day, Sam.
Yep.
He said the plate in front of him could have fed Brazil.
Yep, he said one of the crabs came up and bit you on the hooter. One of the crayfish, Don. Yeah, it bit you on the hooter. It did. Don
Like
walked
he
in.
was-
We go into the lobster cave. This is fair dinkum. Oh, you weren't there, Mick. It wasn't important enough for you. We go in and Don said, God, look at this. It's got tablecloths. I said, yeah, it has got tablecloths, Don. They're they got the power on too out in the kitchen. And look, that's an electric light. He said, and look, they've got glasses. They've got really good-looking glasses and cutlery. I said, Jesus, Don, you've got to get out of that cave you live in.
Sounds like
down
Jed
at the
Clampett.
Yeah, seriously, it did sound like
He
Jed
is, don't
Clampett,
worry.
yeah. Look at that food.
I've got to go, Johnny.
Oh,
What do you got on, Michael?
sorry, we've gone on so long, Mick.
I've got to go to the AFL and nominate the next batch of life members.
Life members. You don't do Hall of Fame?
No. Are you in the Hall of Fame, aren't
Yeah,
you?
I am, but
Yeah.
that's got to be looked at too. The
and,
Hall
and,
of
and when
Fame.
you're down there,
Ask your mate Parkin. He's on that selection committee.
Well, that was shocking last year.
You used to
Bernie
be.
and I went along, and some of those recipients didn't deserve it.
Like?
Brad Hardy.
Well done.
and when you're there, just bring up about Don being a legend at Hawthorne, because this is going to
But
grow
no,
like
no,
topsy.
we only want to put our toe in the water on that. We don't want to talk.
Bernie just went
Well-
whack. He just
Well, we may as
dished
well
him.
bring it out. Bring it out.
Righto,
Okay.
Jake, we're going to get we go out with Daddy Cool.